You know, the fun thing about animation is something interesting that I always find is that it takes so much time and effort to put, especially as an indie, to put something like this together. And you have an amazing, amazing palette to construct from. So, talk about how long it took you and the effort and all of that behind putting this small short together.
Yeah, I think it took a year for production for the actual production, and before that, it was like about 3 to 4 months of pre-production. So
Uh
which I was designing everything and coming up with a palette and testing out all the things because it was mixed media. So I had to do a lot of tests as to like if all the like digital 3D or analog paint stuff are gonna look like they belong in the same world.
Right.
So I did that, and then the actual production. So the bit animating take a year. Yeah.
The colors in this short are phenomenal, and they speak, and they have like almost their own life almost. Uh, why did you go with such a rich palette, color palette, and such a bright background and drop and everything?
Right. Well, first of all, I've always been a fan of colors, of like saturated colors. That's like one of my thing. But also because this film talked about death,
Yeah.
and I thought it was kind of like the whole concept of the film is kind of gloomy. But then I thought I didn't really want people to necessarily feel or just feel sad about the film. Like I want to create this like interesting distance, I guess, by presenting the reality in this like dreamlike, saturated neon space, so that it becomes more a bit curious for people.
And in doing so, you also incorporate some unique sounds and some interesting sound effects in this. Talk about how that plays a role in this as well. Is that part of just getting the overall feeling together, or is that more of to move the story along?
Uh, well, because I specifically worked with an experimental sound designer on this.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that was the first time. Her name is Katie Gately. She's based in LA. That was like the first time I ever worked with someone on sound. I used to do my own sound, and
Sure.
then it was just like this interesting chemistry, I guess. I told her about the idea that I liked unconventional sounds. So, for example, like a door closing sound for like something dropping. Like
Yeah.
I told her that it was like a dreamscape, and I liked that, and then she just played off. Basically, I think it enhances the atmosphere, but also it pushes the storytelling forward because it creates more of the distance that I was talking about that I really liked.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, and then it just like sank people into the space.
Yeah,
That's what I
it
like.
brings you right in. It sucks you right there, and you're like, it's like whoa, that just happened.
Right.
It's very interesting. I like that. That was
Thank
very
you.
very inventive. You know, so what would you take from this film? Because it was such a labor of love and was very intense. Are you planning on expanding this world, or is it going to be something that we're using to kind of see what you could do in this space, or how did you approach making this film, and what it's going to mean for you in your future?
Right. I think this is. I made some films before that was very strictly dreams, and then this film was like I was telling my own like the real story, the reality, but using dream imagery,
Yeah.
and I thought that was really interesting. And it was basic. So I'm planning on my next film now, and it's definitely gonna play off this whole like reality told by dream imagery, and also it was like a really great and successful hopefully experience of like mixing all the media together, and I think I'm gonna just walk further down that route, and for the next film, there's probably gonna be more chaotic,
Are you gonna
like
stick
more
it-
analog stuff.
Are you gonna stick in the short film realm, or are you gonna do more? Are you gonna try and do a feature?
Short film, that's my realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you love about making short films? What is it that really you gravitate toward that? Is it just because you can experiment a lot more?
I think it's the moments. Like, I'm more drawn to moments, like fragmented moments, rather than like a linear storyline. That's just always. I remember things in that way, and those are the things, like those moments are what moves me the most in life, and what I remember the most, and just the emotion from just like for a second of like a hand raise or something. I think it's more meaningful to me than like a story.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why I think short film works well with my approach.
What do you love about being an indie filmmaker? What is it that you cherish?
To be closer to myself, I guess, because it was such, and also animation. I feel like it was like making a statement, a personal statement, while you make animation, because it's so free and it's so like limitless. So you can do whatever you want, and then when you choose to make some choices, it's as if you're saying something by yourself. And then by making independent films, I feel like it definitely drew me closer to myself than I could ever be through like other, and also, but at the same time, I think through the films that I'm making through myself, perhaps reflected other people, so it also draws me closer to other people through this as well. It's just this interesting that I find about, but also all the experimentation and
Sure.
all the fun stuff
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
The one thing about this film festival that I really love is that films like yours get seen and get brought to this. Explain to the audience who may not understand what it means to have a film like this at a festival like this. What do you think is so great about this opportunity?
I think it's definitely. I would love to like reach films like this, to reach the audience that perhaps won't have a chance to see it before, or they wouldn't think about it. I mean, like,
Sure.
experimental animation is such a small field, and like it's a small circle. Not a lot of people like know about it, or
Yeah.
and then it's just the opportunity of opening up for people to see this like this thing perhaps they would get into. Hopefully it's like open up a world. That's what I think. It's opening doors to show it. And also Slamdance is such a great film festival.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
also that's such a great
Do you take comfort, or is there any validation in the fact that it's filmmakers who decide what gets programmed here, and that filmmakers decided that your film was something they wanted to see?
Definitely. I mean, I would love to see this as like a communication between filmmakers. Even though we don't talk, we haven't, and maybe I haven't seen them yet to talk to them, but I feel like we have already communicated through films. That's what I love about this film festival. It's also like the screening I was at last night. A lot of them are filmmakers, and the filmmakers on stage were like. They really appreciate the support from other filmmakers, and it's such a great film festival to just communicate, to talk to other people, to talk to other filmmakers and be inspired. And I think, and also the judging process about another film, like I think they have alumni to be the judges and stuff. I think that's just such a great system.
Nice.
No, I think.